First at 9 this Tuesday, the 8th of July 2025. The nervous wait. Sri Lanka not among the nations listed under the new US tariff structure. However, Deputy Minister of Economic Development Professor Anil Jayantha optimistic that ongoing discussions with Trump administration will yield a favorable outcome for Sri Lanka. Course correction. Maritime security operations officially placed under the sole purview of the Sri Lanka Navy. Government to introduce a new Fisheries Act aimed at safeguarding fishermen's livelihoods and the marine ecosystems. New tax in sight. Sri Lanka plans to roll out a property tax by 2027 as part of the conditions of the fourth review of the IMF Extended Fund Facility. Heritage to hospitality. With over 1.2 million tourists visiting Sri Lanka so far this year, the government unveils plans to redevelop 44 colonial-era hostels into modern, revenue-generating tourism facilities.
Enrolling now for the June 2025 intake and complete your degree in 2 years.
Men are the tools. Balea.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Derana First at 9, Sri Lanka's most trusted news source. I'm Tatya Aranayake, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. We begin with your top story. The United States unveiled updated tariff rates for 14 countries which are set to take effect on the 1st of August. Notably, Sri Lanka is not among the nations listed under the new tariff structure. Meanwhile, speaking in Parliament today, Deputy Minister of Economic Development Dr. Anil Jayantha said, based on the constructive discussions held thus far, Sri Lanka is expected to receive a favourable response in relation to US tariff measures.
On the 2nd of April, US President Donald Trump declared the imposition of new tariffs on imports from approximately 100 nations, framing the announcement as a gesture aligned with his self-styled United States Liberation Day celebrations. A sweeping 10% tariff was applied to a number of countries, with additional reciprocal tariffs levied on over 60 others, including Sri Lanka, to counterbalance what Washington described as unfair trade practices. However, following diplomatic appeals and negotiations, the US administration granted a temporary 90-day grace period, initially set to expire tomorrow. In a turn of events, the US announced yesterday that the implementation of the suspended tariffs will be deferred further until the 1st of August. The United States has begun formally notifying the affected nations, detailing their respective tariff rates. Yesterday alone, 14 countries received official communications outlining the updated tariff percentages. Under the revised plan, Laos and Myanmar will face tariffs of 40%, Thailand and Cambodia 36%, Bangladesh and Serbia 35%, Indonesia 32%, and South Africa and Bosnia and Herzegovina 30%. Meanwhile, a standardized 25% tariff will be applied on Malaysia, Tunisia, Japan, South Korea and Kazakhstan. Notably, these updated rates reflect reductions for several nations, including Laos, Myanmar, Cambodia, Bangladesh, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Tunisia and Kazakhstan. The tariffs, as confirmed by the Trump administration, are scheduled to take effect from August 1st.
Are the tariff letters that you sent today final offers, or are they negotiable?
More or less final offer. I would say firm, but not 100% firm. If they call up and they say, would like to do something a different way, we're going to be open to that. But essentially, that's the way it is right now. Yeah. And we're on the way to doing that. We've already taken in over $100 billion worth of tariffs, and we haven't even started. Now, we've made a deal with United Kingdom. We've made a deal with China. We're close to making a deal with India. Others we met with, and we don't think we're going to be able to make a deal, so we just send them a letter. If you want to play ball, this is what you have to pay.
The unveiling of the revised tariffs triggered volatility across global markets, with sharp fluctuations reported in major exchanges. The World Trade Organization expressed concern, warning that these measures are generating significant instability within the international trade landscape. Although the US is yet to announce its revised tariff rates on Sri Lankan imports, Deputy Minister of Economic Development Professor Anil Jayantha in Parliament today expressed confidence that Sri Lanka would receive a favourable response from the US.
Following our negotiations, we remain optimistic about securing a mutually beneficial outcome. Once an agreement is finalized with the United States, we intend to officially disclose the details of our discussions. We are confident that the resulting agreement will serve the interest of our industrial sector, boost the national economy, and bring tangible benefits to the public at large.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
Yadia, ලොව වැඩියෙන්ම අලෙවි වන ඉලෙක්ට්‍රික් ස්කූටරය Avance Auto වෙතින්.
Sri Lanka is planning to introduce a property tax by 2027 as part of the terms agreed upon under the fourth review of the IMF Extended Fund Facility. The IMF in a statement said the digitized database of property valuations necessary for the implementation of the tax is on track to be completed by September 2026.
As a part of IMF's fourth review under the Extended Fund Facility, a property tax is planned to be introduced by the first half of 2027. The IMF in a statement said the first step in the process requires a database on historical valuation records and that measures are being taken to digitize the valuation records held by the Government Valuation Department. A provisional digital nationwide sales price and rents register has been put in place to accommodate the required market value estimates. The statement asserted that delays in resolving data sharing constraints have set back the finalization of the SPRR database, but it is expected to be completed with a delay by the end of September 2025. A final database of properties with estimated market values will be generated by June 2026, combining the historical digitized records with the SPRR. The database will be made accessible to the Inland Revenue Department, the Valuation Department, the Land Registry, and the public by September 2026. The IMF further said concurrent discussions on property taxation modalities are vital to ensure enactment by the first half of 2027.
Arpico Next Gen. Make the leap to faster sleep.
The Sri Lanka Navy has been entrusted with the responsibility of independently conducting maritime security operations, particularly when dealing with merchant ships that employ private armed guards while navigating high-risk zones. Previously, this service was carried out by private contractors without the intervention of Sri Lanka Navy. Meanwhile, a new legislation is also to be drafted to repeal the existing fisheries law, aiming to strengthen the protection of Sri Lanka's fisheries resources, territorial waters and fishermen.
The Cabinet of Ministers has approved the transfer of maritime security operations to the Sri Lankan Navy under the supervision of the Ministry of Defence. In 2010, due to piracy threats, the Red Sea, Gulf of Aden and the Somali Sea were declared high-risk maritime zones. As a result, to ensure the safety of commercial vessels, commercial ships often deploy private armed guards from foreign security firms. Although this high-risk destination was officially lifted in 2023, many ships continue to employ such guards. Ports in Galle and Colombo and occasionally Hambantota and Trincomalee are used to embark and disembark these security personnel. The government has now decided to hand over the direct management of these operations to the Navy under the supervision of the Ministry of Defence.
සමුද්‍රීය ආරක්ෂාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් නැවත නාවික හමුදාවට බාර දීම සම්බන්ධ කාර්ය ඔබතුමා කිව්වේ නෑ මේ පෞද්ගලික ආයතනය මොකක්ද කියලා මං හිතන්නේ ඇවන්ගාඩ් එක වෙන්න ඕනේ නිශ්ශංක සේනාපති 2009 2010 ඉඳලා එක කාලයක ඇවන්ගාඩ් එක කරනවා ඊට පස්සේ නාවික හමුදාවට දෙනවා ආය ඇවන්ගාඩ් යනවා එහෙම තමයි මේක සිද්ධ විගණන වාර්තාවක සඳහන් වෙලා තියෙනවා ඇවන්ගාඩ් එකට රාජ්‍ය ආරක්ෂක අමාත්‍යාංශය විසින් ලබා දුන්නු ගිනියාවි 113ක් තාම ලබලා දීලා නැහැ ඒ අරුණහම ජීව උණ්ඩ 28000කුත් තාම බාර දීලා නැහැ කියලා. මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මේ හෝමාරු වේදී සොයා බැලීමක් කරනවද? නෑ ගිනියවි සහ පතරම් ලබා නොදීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් වෙනම පරීක්ෂණ ආරක්ෂක අමාත්‍යාංශය පැත්තෙන් සිදු වෙනවා. සීමා ශිල්ප දෙන්න එක නැවත පටන් ගන්නවා කියලාද කියන්නේ. නාවික හමුදාව මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මීට කලින් සිදු කරමිට කාර්යභාරයක් තිබුණා. ඒ කටයුතු නාවික හමුදාව පහුගිය කාලේ අයින් කළා තිබුණේ. මේ මුහුදු ආරක්ෂණ ක්‍රියාවලියේදී ඒ කටයුතු ඉදිරියට කරගෙන යන තමයි මේ කැබිනට් පත්‍රිකාවෙන් අපි අනුමැතිය ලබා දුන්නේ.
Approval was also granted to draft new legislation to safeguard Sri Lanka's fisheries resources, territorial waters and the rights of fishermen. The proposed law will repeal the existing Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Act.
අවති දීවර හා ජලජ සම්පත් පනත ඉවත් කරලා නව පන්තක් හඳුන්වා දීමට යන බව සඳහන් කරා. මෙහිදී අවධානය යොමු කරපු යම් විශේෂ කාරණා මොනවද තියෙනවද
ඇතරම දීවර හා ජල් සම්පත් පනත අලුතෙන් හඳුන්වා.
The need to draft a new act has been under consideration for some time, especially due to emerging maritime challenges. The current law is outdated and insufficient to address present-day realities. We must protect our territorial waters, marine resources and the livelihood of our fishermen. This new legislation is a timely and necessary step in that direction. Meanwhile, a 3-member committee will be appointed to investigate alleged irregularities within the Central Cultural Fund.
මේ අක්‍රමිකතාව වෙලා තියෙන්නේ ඒ පාර්ශවයෙන්ද කියන්නේ ආගමික සිද්ධාස්ථානවල දැන් මේ ඉදි කරන්න කියපුවා ඉදි කරලා නැතුව මේ අක්‍රමිකතාව වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
මුදල් ලබා දීමේදී ලබා ගත්ත පාර්ශවයක් නෙවෙයි. එම ලබා දීමේදී යම් අක්‍රමිකතාවයක් සිදු වුණා කියලා පැමිණි රාශියක් ලැබිලා තියෙනවා. ඒ මත පදනම්ව තමයි මේ විමර්ශන කමිටුව දාලා තියෙන්නේ.
ෆාමා ප්‍රයිවට් ලිමිටඩ් කියන ආයතනයට තමයි ලංසෝ ලැබිලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. එතකොට මේක එක් සමාගමක් විතරක් තියෙන්නේ මේ සුදුසුකම් ලැබලා තියෙන්නේ ඒ සමාගම නැත්නම් සුදුසුකම් ලැබුව තව සමාගම් තිබුණාද? සමේක තරඟකාරී නොවීම මත රජයට අලාභයක් වෙන්නේ නැද්ද?
This procurement valued at $3.96 million was awarded to MJ Biopharma Private Limited, the only firm that submitted a bid despite a competitive tender process. Unfortunately, this is a recurring issue in the country's healthcare procurement system. Many registered suppliers failed to participate. In this case, at least one bidder came forward. There are instances where no bids are received at all.
Deputy Minister of Economic Development Professor Anil Jayanth revealed that the report of the committee appointed to probe the release of cargo containers without customs clearance will be tabled in Parliament soon. He made this statement in response to opposition leader Sajith Premadasa's inquiry into the matter in Parliament today. Why has the report on the 325 containers which was presented to the President on the 12th of July not been made public as yet? MP Mujibur Rahman already tabled the report in this House. I'd like to question you on why the government did not take the initiative to table this report in Parliament.
One of your MPs tabled a report which was released on social media. You brought attention to certain facts like how many containers were there and what was contained within said containers. All details are mentioned in the report. We will present the full report. We can schedule a debate on this matter once the report is tabled.
You say your government came into power to catch thieves. We lodged a number of complaints over the container issue. However, what is the progress of investigations? I will not speak of this subject, Minister, as it is the President. There will be a time to discuss this matter. On the other hand, what is the Minister of Ports saying? He said that the Deputy Minister was aware of this. Were they questioned? MP Archana, who spoke in Parliament, was taken to record a statement regarding containers. They did not take the person who was aware of the location of the said containers to record a statement. MP Dayasiri Jayasekara too was taken to record a statement. When a report prepared by ministers of your government contains false information, you are staying silent. This accusation is being tied to officials. You are importing salt. We don't know what we would have to import going forward, as this government is destroying entrepreneurs and businessmen.
It was decided to import 20,000 metric tons of salt in order to address the recent salt shortage. MP Harsha De Silva, as the chairman of the Committee on Public Finance, summoned our officials to the committee and held discussions on this gazette notification. You greatly inconvenienced those officials. The children of those officials are still in school. They too have families. They are professionals. We have not appointed random people as chairman. You are belittling and disrespecting them. Kindly stop talking. You have explained enough.
අපි එතන ප්‍රශ්න කිරීමේදී අපේ අතින් කිසිම නිලධාරියෙක්ට අපහසුතාවයක් වුණා නම් මම සද්භාවයෙන් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කනගාටු වෙනවා.
The government plans to develop 44 hostels from the colonial period for tourism purposes. Located in tourism zones, these hostels have been entrusted to the Urban Development Authority and local government institutions. The properties are to be redeveloped through investor-led projects aimed at transforming them into viable, income-generating assets that meet modern economic standards. Accordingly, the Cabinet has approved the transfer of the deteriorated hostel properties to the Urban Development Authority as free grants. The government has approved a presidential directive calling for the timely completion of 205 large-scale development projects, including 21 newly initiated projects. Of these, 145 projects are expected to be completed within 2025. 74 were originally scheduled for completion before the end of the first quarter. Additionally, 24 projects are set for completion in 2026, 19 in 2027 and 9 in 2028. This decision follows the submission of a performance report by the Department of Project Management and Monitoring, which evaluated the financial and physical progress of the major development initiatives as of the end of the first quarter of 2025. Welcome back. Taking you to more local news, several parties point out that the steps taken by customs to streamline the collection of duties from the importation of goods through e-commerce platforms will help protect local industries. Meanwhile, government defended the 18% VAT on foreign digital services set to be imposed from the 1st of October, pointing out that the proposal has already been approved under the national budget. Under the 2025 budget, it was proposed to levy a value-added tax of 18% from the 1st of April 2025 on digital services provided to Sri Lanka from a foreign country. The Commissioner General of Inland Revenue issued a Gazette notification implementing the proposal from the 1st of October. Accordingly, the provision of software as a service, digital marketing and advertising, cybersecurity services, video, music and live content platforms will be subject to these taxes.
Until now, foreign nationals working in Sri Lanka weren't included in our tax systems, but that's finally changed. Bringing them into the tax net is a win for our local industries. Something that's been overlooked for years is now being implemented, and it's a positive step forward.
Deputy Minister of Economic Development Professor Anil Jayantha pointed out in Parliament today that this is an implementation of a previous proposal and not a new VAT imposition.
We have not and will not impose extra VAT on digital services. If VAT is not imposed, digital services can be provided from within and without the country. A level playing field must be created. Regardless of whether the service is provided locally or from abroad, it is consumed in Sri Lanka, it is subject to the standard 18% VAT. This was approved under the budget. Its implementation, originally scheduled for the 1st of April, was delayed due to court proceedings. An agreement has now been reached and the 18% VAT on digital services will take effect from October 1st, 2025.
Meanwhile, local garment manufacturers say that the government has lost 50 million rupees in tax revenue per day in the past due to the methods of importing goods through e-commerce websites.
A big commotion is being made that Temu and AliExpress have halted operations. They were not halted by the government. What happened was that the customs duty collection was rectified. Who did they pay the taxes to? To which government? They are in pockets of certain individuals and now they are deceiving the people. Sri Lanka received t-shirts priced lower than the cost of fabric to produce a shirt in the country. How is that possible? Can customer invoices and the customs declarations be compared to show where these costs have gone to? No, they can't. Because of this impact, the government has lost 50 million rupees in tax revenue per day. We must be thankful to customs for clearing them in a standardized manner. The decision to clear these items in line with relevant HS codes is very fair. Lots of industries are being protected through this.
This matter was also brought to the attention of Parliament today.
When items are brought into foreign countries through these e-commerce platforms, a certain proportion is exempted from tax considering the value, size and weight of products. This is also the case for us. However, there is an issue with the de minimis policy in our country. The benefits of the common parcels has been exploited individually. But now customs are working on solving the issues.
සමහර අවස්ථාවලදී අපි දැක්ක රුපියල් 1500යි භාණ්ඩයේ මිල නමුත් shipping and handling එක රුපියල් 37000යි.
Sometimes we saw that the price of the product is 1500 rupees but the cost of shipping and handling is 37,000 rupees. The issue is that there isn't a clearance process that is fit for purpose. The minister mentioned that de minimis policy which former minister Mangala Samaraweera proposed in 2018. What that entails is that goods under $50 imported for personal use will not be subjected to tax. The former minister's vision was that this should apply only to individuals. So the government needs to decide whether or not the de minimis policy will be implemented, and if it is implemented, how? And if not, what's the solution?
Now taking you to business news, Sri Lanka has attracted 1.2 million tourists as of the 6th of July 2025 as it continues towards the target of securing 3 million tourist arrivals for the year. This figure includes 138,241 tourist arrivals recorded in the month of June. According to data from the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, the highest number of tourist arrivals for the month of June was recorded on the 26th of June with 7,100. Meanwhile, 36,002 tourist arrivals were recorded between the 1st and the 6th of July. India continues to be Sri Lanka's top source market with 37,934 Indian tourists visiting the country in June, while the United Kingdom trails in second with 11,628 British tourist arrivals. A significant number of tourist arrivals were also recorded from China, Australia, Pakistan and Bangladesh. The Colombo Bourse closed in negative territory today as a result of price losses in counters such as John Keells Holdings, CT Holdings and Hatton National Bank. The benchmark all-share price index decreased by 0.06% to settle at 18,032.12 points. Meanwhile, the more liquid S&P Sri Lanka 20 lost 0.34% to close at 5,321.75 points. Market turnover crossed 8.8 billion rupees. The real estate management and development sector was the top contributor to turnover, followed by the banking sector. Foreign participation in market activity remained at subdued levels, with foreigners closing as net sellers, offloading shares worth 6.28 million rupees. With that, let's take a look at the day's foreign exchange rates. And now here's a look at corporate news in brief.
The Blue Ocean Group inked a deal for a $3.38 million project with the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka for a high-end residential development at number 15A, Layouts Road, Colombo 4. Sri Lankan entrepreneur Dhammika Pereira acquired 106.9 million shares of East West Properties PLC for 3.2 billion rupees, amounting to approximately 77.40% of the issued shares of the company. Meanwhile, Mentos, together with the brand Corridor, set up Sri Lanka's first ever voice-activated vending machine at the Sri Lanka vs Bangladesh ODI match. The machine provides an engaging way for consumers to engage with the brand by shouting yes to fresh to receive stadium concessions.
That's all for tonight from First at 9. Thank you. Have a great night.